Cursed by the old gods in Bethany, we are 5 immortals doomed to walk the earth until we complete our 1001 tasks. After centuries of having our memories dicked around, we're ready to complete our destiny and die. We are, for now, the Immortals. It's episode 77.
Woo!
Yes.
That's right, everybody. Episode 77.
I like 7's my favorite number, and I also really like 11. So 77 is a really good number.
Cool. It's a palindrome.
Yeah, it's very nice. It doesn't. I don't think you get to count it as a palindrome, even though I understand that it's
technically
correct, but it's not exciting because it's.
And once again,
it's not exciting.
All number palindromes are lame.
No, I mean like the ones that have 3 numbers at least are not as lame.
These books are literally the 1001 movies, albums, TV shows. What is the show
Numbers
about?
you could put in any sort of palindrome and it works. It's a number. Words, when they're a palindrome, that's special because not every letter, combined is a word.
Fine, I'm going to go through and make new words.
Oh, Jesus.
That'll show me. Whatever. I'm Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
And we are 5 immortals who are currently hanging out in the old god's realm. We, gonna try to defeat the aforementioned Bethany. We now know that the old gods seem to be on a planet somewhere. And we decided to go trek off and find the room that we think will help. Turns out, going to the room where we're trapped in the walls for days on end was not the right room. Adam, bad suggestion. But now we're here at the library, which hopefully will help us in our case, because this is all the resources. This hopefully help us find a way to defeat everything.
What are we looking for in the library?
I will explain that later, because first we have some more important issues to do. The things that we are doing are this.
What?
Nailed it. Because we review things. We're cursed. We gotta review the 1001 movies, albums, food, songs, children's books, and TV shows that you must consume before you die.
On reflection, I feel like the premise of our lives is not when you say it
Coherent.
out loud like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. What part doesn't make sense?
I just feel like
what part of anything that we've just done investment?
it's causing kind of an existential crisis. I have a lot of time to think in here, and it's kind of a problem.
No, it's fine. We're gonna go save the day, kill ourselves, and review things. How hard is that to understand?
Sure.
Probably not that order.
How are your legs?
How are my legs? Missing?
Okay.
That was kind of a mean way to ask that question. How are your stumps? That'd be fine.
Cockroach bit them off. It's been an issue.
It'd be meaner if they said, "How are your feet?"
Oh, buddy.
Gone. See previous episodes, but now to a normal episode, us in a library in another dimension, where we are reviewing the 842nd things from all those books. And, let's say what they are this time, because the 842nd movie is Unforgiven.
The album is Vanishing Point by Primal Scream.
The food is San Francisco Sourdough.
The song is Devil's Haircut by Beck.
The children's book is The K by Theodore Taylor.
And the TV show is Borgen. Before we get to any of those, we have some old business, new hinges. Because we weren't able to review them earlier because we couldn't find them. Now that we're back here in the library, we realized there's a whole shelf devoted to them. So, hey Adam, what children's book did we skip a few weeks ago?
It was Doraemon, Gadget Cat of the Future.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Doraemon, Gadget Cat of the Future?
Yes, it is a manga written and illustrated by Fujiko F. Fujio, first published in 1969. And it's about a boy who meets a cat from the future who has a pocket that he can basically bring anything out of, and it's magic and helps him to solve daily problems. And the premise is that he comes back to help the kid because the kid grows up to be a loser.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to take a little bit of criticism to your summary, because he doesn't use these gadgets from his kangaroo pouch to solve any problems. They only create problems. Every story seems to start with nothing really a problem, and then the kid goes, "Hey, do you have a gadget that does this?" And then he uses it, and then everything gets worse. And then
Like the
there's no
Cat in the Hat?
It is, except for like... No, because the Cat in the Hat is looking for anarchy. Doraemon is actually there to be helpful. This kid's just a piece of shit.
Ah, gotcha.
So imagine the Cat in the Hat flipped, where like, the Cat in the Hat saying, "Hey, I'm the babysitter," and the kids are like, "Do you have a bomb I can blow up the kitchen with?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." And they blow up the kitchen. That seems to is that a fair assessment of the books?
I think that's a little bit of an over exaggeration. But essentially, yes, that's the case. It's more of like Doraemon is.
Is the cat wearing a suit? Like a cat suit?
It's like a.
It's a robot
sweatsuit.
It's not even a real cat. It's a robot.
Yeah, it's like a robot.
Okay.
Well, so I don't know. This story that I read, they're not all like that, because this story I read is the one where the cat brings the kid's shadow to life, because the kid has to do the lawn, but the kid is lazy, and so Doraemon's like, "Let's get your shadow to do it," and then the shadow eventually like becomes sentient, and if they don't stop the shadow within like 30 minutes, it becomes Nobito is the main character. Yeah, so like the stories are fun and to a point. They're whimsical, I guess. I wouldn't say fun, but they're whimsical and somewhat inventive.
They're definitely inventive. So I read 4 volumes of this. This is like a ongoing thing. There seems like 17 volumes here on the shelf, and I grabbed 4 and called it a day.
Yeah.
They are extremely repetitive, as you'd imagine, of these like 10-page stories. The issue is that the kid is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like him. And he's the worst.
Yeah.
And that's the plot.
Right.
Like, I'm not like being a dick about a children's book.
The cat comes back and says, "You're the worst."
You're the worst.
Basically.
We're desperate. We're going to change the timeline to see if we're going to make it any better. And honestly, he doesn't. There's nothing... Also, every story seems to have no resolution. Like, they think of like maybe one sort of witty line and just kind of end it there, usually in chaos. So like, which feels like there's missing a page.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not... This got old really quick.
Yeah, sure did. And there's a lot.
There's a lot of this book.
Yeah, so I I was satisfied after like 6 stories.
Oh, you cheater.
I know, I cheated so bad.
I read so many.
I know, I'm sorry.
I read 400 pages of this.
I feel like I got the gist though.
Oh, you definitely got the gist. There's like nothing to this.
Yeah.
So, how many hinges?
So I'm gonna say 1.9.
I'll give a 2.3.
Okay.
Whatever that's worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alright. So that is Doraemon, Gadget, Cat from the Future. We almost reviewed that a few weeks ago, and we reviewed it here. So, there you go.
There you go.
But now it's time for a little bit different. Instead of a dumb manga, we got a thesis about westerns with Unforgiven.
I guess you didn't see the sign with the weather and all.
No. But I ain't armed.
What about your friends upstairs? They got any pistols?
No, I guess. No, they ain't armed either.
Uh-huh. Spilled your whiskey.
Okay, I said,
What's your name?
William? Hendershot.
Well, Mr. William Hendershot. What if I was to say you was a no good son of a bitch and a liar? And then if I was to say that you shit in your pants because of a cowardly soul? I bet you'd show me that pistol right quick, wouldn't you? You'd shoot me dead. Isn't that so?
Maybe, yeah, I guess. But the fact is I ain't carrying no firearm.
Get up. snakes and such? Yeah. We don't have any snakes in here, Mr. Hendershot. Well, ain't loaded. God is wet. You see, Mr. Beauchamp? This is the kind of trash I get out.
Unforgiven is the Best Picture winner of 1992. It is directed by Clint Eastwood. It's starring Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman, and Richard Harris, a.k.a. Dumbledore number 1. And it is the story of two young-ish men who were awful to a prostitute and cut her up. And Gene Hackman as, I just forgot his name.
Little Bill.
Little Bill.
As the sheriff in town, basically gives him a very, very easy sentence of just having to give away a few ponies. And the prostitutes are not happy with this, and they offer up a reward for anyone to kill these two men who are involved with this. And now people are coming all over to kill these men, including Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman, who are people who've done this a long time ago, but need the money and kind of come out of retirement to kill these boys. This is an interesting Western, to say the least. It is made by perhaps one of the most iconic Western actors of all time. Basically, Clint Eastwood and John Wayne are the genre, it seems like. And this is a movie that really is arguing whether or not the archetypical Clint Eastwood character was even a good person or not. So, who hadn't seen this before?
I had not seen it before.
Neither have I.
Sarah, I'm going to have you go first this time. What did you think of Unforgiven?
So, as a starting point, it is important to note that I hate Westerns. And I hate Westerns for a reason. I tend to think they are... First of all, I don't like movies that are about cows. Just cows all the time. But also, I find them often to be unself-critically exalted toxic masculinity. I mean, right, like, John Wayne Westerns in particular tend to be, you know, big, bold cowboy saves day from X, Y, and Z, something, homestead, place of my own to be, you know, free of all of society and my land. Yay.
Except for the Searchers.
I haven't seen the Searchers, so...
We'll get to it.
But I've been meaning to watch Unforgiven forever because it is Best Picture winner, and I really, really liked this movie. In general, like, I bitch about Westerns. I tend to like Westerns that are about something else, and while I do think that this is a referendum on the Western as genre, it's also, more generally, like, a movie about, well, forgiveness, and, you know, what it means to have a dark past, which is a theme that a lot of movies deal with, and I can't think of one that I mean, this is up there about, I mean, man, like, because Morgan Freeman and Morgan Freeman's character is definitely assumed to have a less sordid past.
I would say probably equal. I mean,
probably equal, but I feel like it's Clint Eastwood's character who is constantly being like, oh yeah, like, you killed like a ton of people. And they have this young guy with them who really wants to be
A murderer.
a murderer. Yes, he wants to kill people. And it is...
well, he wants to be a,
He wants to
a
be
cowboy hero.
He wants to be that.
He's not looking to be like Hannibal Lecter, but this film is saying that is what you
That
are.
is like literally what you are.
You're bragging about murdering people.
And you're not. And it's really... and yeah, I mean, it's got a lot to say about what you do with a past you can't get rid of, and what happens when you get sucked back in, and how are you supposed to respond to it, and what does it mean, and yes, also, there is no, like, beautiful murder. There is no, like, nice death, which is a theme that I very much appreciate in movies, especially these days. I want to watch it again. There is a lot to it, and I would need more. I want to write a paper about it. But yeah, I really liked it.
Lee, did you like it as much as Sarah?
I would like to preface this by saying that I really do like Westerns. And I like the old John Wayne Westerns and things like that. I hated this movie.
Oh my god.
Really?
I couldn't fucking stand it. I turned it off after 40 minutes because I hated all of the characters, I didn't get the plot, and I didn't understand why it was so convoluted, and it was boring.
Did you
Did you then finish the movie?
No, I finished it.
Okay, I was like,
It's still boring. I still don't understand why the plot was so complicated, and I still hated all of the characters.
I don't necessarily like the characters, but I found it to be really interesting. I think that's what gets me more in storytelling, I suppose, because I didn't necessarily want anyone to succeed. There was no hero in the white hat, which is, I guess, the point of the film, but I was very curious about... Because early on you have Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman deciding to kind of get out of retirement and do this, and their reasons are very unclear, and as the film goes on...
I think Clint Eastwood's reasons are very clear. He needs the money.
Well, I don't buy it.
I'm sure he could find another way to get money.
This is true.
He does not have to go back to his quote-unquote old ways. He put himself in that goddamn mess. It's his own damn fault.
And I agree. I think the film...
That's definitely part of it, yeah.
Because, he's also abandoning his children by themselves.
Problem number 1. He abandons his children to go kill people for some money because, well, he thought for 10 seconds and ran out of ideas.
To be fair, if there are ever any two kids that'll be fine for 2 weeks on their own...
With a bunch of very sick pigs.
Yeah, those kids seemed just fine.
Well, I think... We'll get into some spoilers now, I think, because it's a pretty famous film. If not, jump ahead or whatever. I think the film is very interestingly saying that Clint Eastwood still is a bad guy. Because you see him trying to disavow his old life, and yet he seems to be trying to convince himself mostly. And he's not doing a very good job because there's no reason for him to be doing this. And at the end, once, big spoiler, once Morgan Freeman has been killed, and he is just the worst that he's ever been, just murders everybody. He doesn't just end there. He kind of screams to the town that he will murder anyone who stops him. He'll murder their wife, and he's going to burn down their house. The biggest sadist in this film to me is Little Bill, the Gene Hackman character. But Clint Eastwood, if you take a step back, does put it up for his money near the end. It moves tough because it's a damnation. It's a condemnation of himself, really, of Clint Eastwood's characters. That's how I took it, at least. But
and it's sort of interesting. I think the movie plays with the question of whether there is no good death in the movie, but from the very beginning, it's playing with the question of, is there a good reason to kill? From the very beginning, you have and particularly, and this is where I think it questions the Western most clearly, in a system where you have no justice, where, the sheriff of the town is basically I don't give a shit, that you just brutalized this woman because she said you had a small penis, which is, such a nice touch that as I got later into the film, and I was and this is a film that is entirely about masculinity, I was good, that was a nice touch. But from the beginning you have, what a Western, a guy that ought to be killed, a guy that ought to be hung, who's not going to be. But then he's got people with him, and it's a little bit less clear, and I think it's also a movie about what being the person who does the killing does to you. And all of those scenes about, there's so many scenes about pointing guns at people and not being able to shoot. The scene, probably my favorite scene in the movie, is the scene with Little Bill, English Bob. Yeah, English Bob, who is He's English. And this fucking biographer, who's, I mean, like, in what, like, it's almost too perfectly constructed when you actually start breaking it down, right? Like, the guy who's writing the Western story about all of these assholes, and Little Bill, Gene Hackman, hands him the gun. When it's just him and these two guys, and says, "Go ahead, shoot me, walk out of here," and he can't do it. And there's this great moment of acting. I don't know who the actor is who plays the biographer, but it's really a great moment of him wrestling with what to do and feeling emasculated by the fact he can't do it, and trying to find a way out of it by giving it to English Bob, and like all of this stuff that...
Well, he was told him to hand it to English Bob.
Well, right,
first he was told to shoot Gene Hackman.
Yeah, that's
the
the thing.
Shoot me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't. All right, give it to him.
No, but it's the biographer who first says, "What if I give it to him?"
Right.
And that's, which I think is brilliant. Anyway, it's a really good scene. Oh, I didn't realize you were actually going to answer the phone. Okay.
Unprofessional.
I never answer my phone. Kidding me? Answering my phone is for chumps.
Let's see here.
Our country's falling down around us, guys.
It's fine. We'll be fine.
No, it was the doctor's office.
Oh, okay.
Confirm my appointment. Sorry.
That's fair enough.
And it always happened.
Cool.
Do you remember where you were, or should I interrupt you?
I mean, I was talking about that scene.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this you're gonna keep in, but
Well, I wanted the noise from the phone.
okay. I don't remember where I was. Sorry.
It's a great scene.
I'm just gonna intersperse that in different
It's just a great scene.
Let me pause. Well, with that scene, you also kind of get one of the biggest parts of the movie as well, which is the element of the story and the legend, because the Western is an American myth.
The writer jumped ship after
from
English Bob to Little Bill. He's like, all right, this guy's bigger and better.
Yeah,
he dies at the end, right? Does Clint Eastwood shoot him?
He shoots everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, he does, right? Like that is. I'm trying to remember.
I don't think he shoots him.
I don't think he does.
He walks out with another, because he goes from English Bob as the Western hero to Little Bill as the Western hero to Clint's the Western hero to. I think the entire genre is dead.
Yeah, like Boba.
That's kind of like how he ends it, because he's like, so that's like, who'd you shoot first? Shoot first, and then kind of sees the whole resolution and kind of goes, there's no hero here.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro, what did you think of this? Because I know you were also a big Clint Eastwood fan. What do you about him criticizing himself?
This is the second or third time or whatever that I watched it. I had Encore growing up. They loved playing this film. I weirdly didn't like it as much as I remembered. A lot of it was sort of this boringness that prevailed, and it was just too John Wayne-y whenever Clint Eastwood would talk about his newfound values from his wife. I don't do that anymore because of the misses, and so on and so forth.
I also have a lot of opinions about his dead wife, but we can talk about that later.
No, it's definitely do.
Yeah, there's,
I still really liked it. Some of the shots were actually incredible. I was like, oh, I love the American West. Gene Hackman was amazing. I wanted more Morgan Freeman, but too bad, I guess. Spoiler alert. It was interesting how it looked on itself and on the genre, and how it really did not glorify the bang bang shoot 'em up, let's kill everybody Western. I personally feel there's a little bit of some values in there in the beginning with why he took the job, not just for the money, because the money's nice, but also, alright, it's an excusable killing. He did something horrible to this woman. I can do that. At least I did Not so much this second time around. And really, I was just trying to figure out where Clint Eastwood's head was at. And at the end, when he explodes, you can tell that the death of his longtime friend and partner really set him off. He started drinking again, and he was just hammered the entire time and got lucky in a gunfight as he had been doing his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Who are you? Go around and kill people, or raise your 2 kids when you're like 62? Clint Eastwood was 62 at the time of the release of this film.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, that he's still making movies.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
I think that's the dilemma, because it seems like he tried so hard to be a good person. The only way he could do it is in complete isolation from every element around him.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's really real, though.
I know it's so upsetting that, like, the second years of a story that even though, like, he cared enough that seemed like a right thing to do, like, he just felt comfortable doing that, and he's willing to, even if he succeeds, abandon his children for a few weeks.
It's interesting. So I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I deal with a lot of people who have committed crimes and done bad things, and I talk to a lot of people who've done really bad things, mostly younger people, definitely. I don't know, that feels really real to me, that there's this real tension about who you really are. Is who you really are the person, the best version of yourself, the person you can be outside of your world, outside of your influences, outside of, when you've run away from everything you've done? Is that really you? And in a sense, it is. It's a way to have a new start. But there's a different version of yourself that you can become. And it's just really real. I don't know. I don't know whether Clint Eastwood, I don't know. It's rare, I think, that a movie is making a comment on a genuinely bad, like a person who has done genuinely bad things and continues to do genuinely bad things, and paints them with this level of complication. There's lots of anti-heroes, but Clint Eastwood's character is not that. He's way more interesting than that.
I really like the bookends to the film, which is the text on screen, which you see him in the silhouette, burying people at different times. But it's the idea of, like, it goes with the biographer's element, which is, what does the story look like? Where does the Western myth go? And we never see him in a marriage. We never see what he and his wife act like and what he looks like as a father beyond those few moments. But according to history, which is not inaccurate, he was a horrible, violent man who married someone nice. We have no idea why. So we never get to... History will never record perhaps the moments when he was good.
But in his conception of who he is as a person,
mm-hmm.
she is central. She's everything. That she's the person who made him good. And made him stop drinking, and for the majority of the movie until he reverts at Morgan Freeman's death in a lot of ways.
And Lee, you had some thoughts about this.
Yes. I thought it was... I don't even know the right word for it. It was weird, and maybe, Sarah, you can help me try to put this into words, how all of his goodness is... she's responsible for it.
Yeah. Well, I think...
He's not the one who's doing it because he wants to. He's doing it for her, to make her happy.
Yeah, and I
That's
think...
a good point.
And it's... Well, and it speaks to the fragility of that goodness, I think. It's one of the reasons I really like it, because you don't hear a lot of commentary about his wife from anybody else in the film. We don't get to hear from his kids. They seem to like him fine, but, like, whatever. And but in his own mind, the reason he is good is because of her. And that's really fragile. That is something that is easily undermined. And I think there is this sort of, not literally, because this is itself an expression, but falling off the wagon, but both about being the person his wife wants him to be. Because I think in his head, by going and quote-unquote providing for his family, and doing this, like, what he thinks of as, like, a morally okay thing, he is still a good man. And then it's off. It's done. After Morgan Freeman dies and he reverts. And yeah, I actually thought that was one of the more interesting parts of it, is that we really have no idea whether he was good to her. We have no idea whether we don't know whether he beat her. We don't know if any of the story that he is telling about her is true.
I think we could believe the text, which is she died not
yes,
by
but
his
she didn't
hand, but by
die.
smallpox.
But that we don't know anything about them.
And that's now gone to history.
Right.
Except for that, this basically devil on earth person cared enough about someone, even their memory, to try to make that a model. They're like, well, he really doesn't have to. So there's something there that is not pure evil. I would sometimes think Gene Hackman is pure evil.
Well,
Gene Hackman is much more of
he's the biggest sadist.
Yeah.
He cares about nothing except for his house.
But
He really likes that house, though.
Yeah.
He just wants to look out on the land, you know.
it's interesting. There is something to the character. What is it? Is he trying to atone? Did killing one too many children and women do it for him? I don't know.
Well, and he's going after, specifically, people who have hurt a woman.
Yeah.
Which has this sort of... I mean, it's how he can tell himself this story that I think until the moment that Morgan Freeman can't shoot, and he takes the gun. I mean, to me, like, that's the turning point in the movie, so...
It was the first person he killed in
yeah,
the 10
like,
plus years that he'd been...
Right, that, you know, Morgan Freeman goes to shoot at the main... Well, they shoot him once, and I don't know who fires the first shot. Is it Morgan Freeman
I think
or
it was
the kid?
Morgan Freeman never fired. Right?
Yeah, so I think it's the kid fires the first shot and, like, wounds the guy, but they have to take him out. And it's a very long, painful scene. And
I thought it was...
Or no, actually, it's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman fires the first shot, but he misses.
Right,
Eastwood
right.
hits him.
Yeah,
Right.
It was only Clint Eastwood hit him, because, the kid only ever kills the second guy.
But again, it's this long, painful scene, where he has to go back into the shit and the muck of killing people and how, like, and
It weirdly, that scene reminded me of The Americans. The Americans, the TV show,
Yeah.
set in the Cold War of Russian spies, basically versus the FBI. And every single episode, nobody wins.
yeah,
Nobody-
actually, The Americans is dealing, I've only seen the first 3 seasons or so, but it is dealing with a lot of the same themes about numbness and brutalization and what it means to be a good person, or whether it's even possible to be a good person if you ever kill anyone.
Because, I mean, it's just such a... When the first guy gets shot, it's not a immediately fatal wound, and he's just crying out in agony. And, like, the fact that Clint Eastwood screams to his companions, give him water, I'm not going to shoot you. Everyone is suffering right now.
Yeah.
And that's the point you really kind of... Because the story that I kept thinking about from modern day was, especially during the beginning of the story, I kept thinking about the Stanford rapist, right? The swimmer who...
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, who's horrible. The media kind of kept calling him, the swimming guy. Got off on basically nothing. And, raped someone. That's one of the worst things you could ever do on this planet. And I saw the same thing of, like, 7 Ponies is very similar to his, month and a half in prison?
Yeah.
I think it was like 3 months or 6 months or something stupid, but yeah.
It was even reduced then. So I kept thinking, like, you're watching... Because I think even in this movie, they call them, good old boys. No. You stabbed this woman 17 times. You're not a good old
They
boy.
were just... Yeah, Little Bill says something like, they're just good boys who got carried away or something.
Right.
It's like, fuck you.
And so that moment, I'm like, fuck these guys, fuck that. Then that moment when they get shot, as you're watching essentially a man with a really morally questionable past, and this kid who just is eager to kill, and this horrible guy and the horrible guy's friends, everyone's suffering, and my reaction is just empathy towards all of them, and I'm confused by that, I guess.
It was a weird, sentencing thing. It's like, hey, you hurt somebody, we're going to hurt you back, we're going to lash you. It's not as big of a thing, but sure, whatever. And then as soon as the brothel owner is like, wait, but my property value investment is worthless now, or gone down. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to hurt you anymore. You just have to give this guy the money. It's like, what happened to you had someone get hurt back? You could have still
because no one gives a shit about women.
Maybe even put them on the scaffold.
That's what the film's saying, yeah.
Hurting women isn't really a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, shut up for a second. We're talking.
Sorry, she's been talking so much.
Fine.
Well, that's something else that I didn't like about the movie. Like, it's supposed to be like, look at how awful these men were to these women, and like physically abusing these women. Look at how lenient their sentence is. These women are treated like absolute garbage for the rest of the movie.
No one cares. I actually really like that.
Like even the movie,
Yeah.
even the movie treated them like shit.
Okay.
I like,
and that pissed me off.
how are they treated like shit? I guess. Sorry, I'm being dumb white male. I guess.
No, I never felt the movie never tries to make you feel sympathetic towards any of the characters except the one who was actually brutalized. And even then, that still didn't feel sincere. It wasn't like, oh, I'm sorry, these awful things happened to you. It's like, oh, you're now disfigured for the rest of your life, and I feel bad for you for that.
The scene that I did, I agree with you that, this is a movie that, fundamentally, the women in this movie are, serve an object purpose. They are obviously objectified in that they are prostitutes in the movie, but they're not characters to the degree that the men in the movie are. Yeah. I do really like the scene between the woman who's all cut up and I guess it's Clint Eastwood about I like that conversation. Which is basically her offering to sleep with him and him saying no, and then realizing that saying no is acting like he won't sleep with her because she has cuts all over her face, and him being like, no, that's not what I'm doing here, is an interesting, and then I like that this movie doesn't have a lot of easy answers, and I'm not sure, and the follow-up scene where she discovers that his wife is dead. So he says, I couldn't cheat on my wife. And she's like, that's great. And then later she's clearly kind of dismayed to find out that his wife is dead. But for Clint Eastwood in that moment, he wasn't lying to her. I don't think that he was trying to say my wife is alive. He meant, I'm not sleeping with anybody because I love my dead wife. Well, I don't know. It's an interesting...
She didn't fully get the truth. She just knows that he doesn't have a wife.
Right.
So
I thought of him as doing it not because I don't want to cheat on my dead wife, but more of this isn't how I accept payment for a job, if that makes sense.
But that's not how he said it.
No, he definitely does. He definitely is saying, I don't sleep with women because of... there's one of the only funny lines in the movie is him and Morgan Freeman, being like, so basically, have you slept with anybody since your wife died? And he's like, nope. And Morgan Freeman is completely flabbergasted by this concept.
Well, I think, to me, I really enjoyed the woman who led the brothel. Mm-hmm. I actually thought she was a really interesting character who was someone who was very open. She was someone saying, we're here, we're part of this community. This is a whole world set upon justice. Justice is not served here. And when she does a very common thing, which is, calling for a bounty, basically, in a Western world, she's being shut down for it, and she calls that to be bullshit. And I kind of like the idea that her voice can't really be stopped. It's like Lil Bill can't, he knows it's out by Texas by now. So I liked her, and to me, and this is, it's just, again, perhaps my bias going on, I didn't really see them as objects, but more as an excuse, which is still not a positive word, but you have characters who are looking to kill and to be, that's who they think they should be, is the cowboy figure who shoots and leaves. And they needed a new story to do that. And they needed justice, and those things tied together in this tale.
Yeah, well, when I say object, I don't mean... there's women's objectification, which is a persistent problem, but any plot line that has many, many characters have characters who exist primarily as plot devices. One of the problems with women's objectification is that those characters are very, very often disproportionately women. This is a movie where that occurs. It doesn't mean the movie's bad. It's just like, they're not, I don't consider them more than bit characters compared to like the level of, depth.
I mean, the movie could never be one to have a critical examination of female cowboys because that's not been in cinema for
Well, and
years.
also, I'm not saying the movie had to do that. It's that's why I'm saying,
not what it's doing.
I'm not stating a criticism. I'm stating a way the plot is structured.
All right, fine. Adam has hand up for 20 minutes. We'll get to you, I guess.
You guys just said so many things.
What to say?
I guess I'll start with what we just talked about. I think that it's not painting anyone in a positive light. Like, no one is the hero.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of saying that the women shouldn't have put out this contract on
I was
these
just
men.
thinking that too.
Yeah, and if you hear about the contract, you shouldn't have accepted it. And so I think that the movie's not really answering questions at all. It's just kind of posing them.
That's fair. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what happens when, in wanting revenge, you ask for one person to be dead. Next thing you know, dozens of people, maybe not plural dozens, but at least a dozen people were killed. And
maybe the answer...
Did it accomplish anything?
Exactly, yeah. So maybe it is having an answer, and the answer is that there are no good guys in revenge.
More are dead now than should have been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was a goal to try to kill two men who did wrong, and now...
Well, one man
everyone's
in particular.
Yeah.
You could tell the other guy felt bad. He was trying to pull his friend off, but I'm not... No, he was an awful person. But...
Yeah.
But have you seen this film before?
Yeah, I saw it once before a while ago. And I didn't really remember much about it. I know that it was like acclaimed and all that, but I think that I don't like the dialogue. I think it's so hammy. And I don't know if that's on purpose, trying to...
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just, like, it could be that they're trying to say that, like, this is how most Westerns are. Like, Clint Eastwood waxing poetic about, I'm not like that anymore. I don't do that.
There are a lot of scenes like that.
I do not think that's a commentary. I think that's just
how it was written.
Yeah.
So like, in spite of the dialogue, it's like, the plot and the theme is really good, but...
Is it because he's the aging Westerner, so he talks like the old school Western should talk?
But everyone talks like that.
Yeah.
Like Lil Bill, even. And the women, too, who are younger.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely like Clint Eastwood just wrote a Western, and that's what
they sound like.
That's what Clint Eastwood sounds like.
Yeah.
You should watch Gran Torino.
I have.
No, thank you.
Fucking garbage. Okay, that actually puts it into perspective for me. Now I know why that happens. The other thing I think I want to respond to is that I think we were talking about how his relationship with like Clint Eastwood's current life is so fragile just because of his wife. I think that if the price was right, it could have been he would have left for any reason because I think probably over time the character had like he had romanticized his like gunslinging days
for sure.
Probably really enjoyed hearing the kid come back and talk about like, I heard you were the best. And Clint's like what he said, I think is not maybe how he felt.
I'm going to disagree just like barely about that because the film looks a lot about people's egos about their past. And you have English Bob who lied about his past and made him seem more glamorous. You have Lil Bill who is taking joy in the story as maybe he shouldn't take joys in. I think Clint Eastwood just likes the feeling of being in it. I guess I don't think he likes the stories of him, but he liked doing those things. Do you know what I mean? That's how I kind of see it because English Bob only lives now to brag, not to actually do. He can't fire the gun. In fact, he leaves wonderfully in the middle of the film and does not come back.
Yeah.
Typical screenplays would have him appear at the end. No.
Nope.
He got humiliated, got his ass kicked, got made fun of, and he went off to go found Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Is that the canon? Is that how that works?
That's how that goes, yeah.
So, because like I really liked the biographer, who's I think actually one of the best Western characters.
He's a lot of fun.
But like he's there after the whole gun shoot, asking like, "Who do you shoot first? Who shoot first?" And he doesn't care or know.
Right.
He just it had to be done. He did it. He enjoyed that he did it, but he doesn't have the narrative that Bill or Bob had. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you.
But he does clearly miss that life because he returns to it when he did not have to.
Yeah.
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 I brought him up. It's not the best way to end, but I'd have to. English Bob is also a fascinating character.
He's a lot of fun.
And his best scene is him being full Ben Linus, lying in prison, all bloody-faced, and just having everyone mock him. The scene where they retell the story about what really happened in that gun shoot and how Bob was just drunk and an asshole and the guy shot his own foot is amazing.
I like that scene a
Because
lot.
it's set up so perfectly because beforehand he's so like verbose and pompous.
Yeah.
And then he's shut down. Yeah, I agree.
I love that scene. Then it's like immediately talked about like it cuts to like Morgan Freeman and Eastwood talking about their past. And if anything, I could say this film, I think it's a bit too on the nose. I think almost all of its scenes about the Western past and legacy in your stories are like all back to back for like 6 scenes in a row. And it felt like a bit like overdoing the theme, but still a good movie. Any final thoughts? Lee, I want you to have as many final thoughts as you want. You are the dissenter, but your opinion is mighty. So.
Oh, I could go on and on about how much I don't like this movie.
Please do.
Like, I will say, I enjoyed the Wild Bill character, or English Bill character.
Little Bill, English Bob.
Whatever. I liked Hogwarts. I liked Dumbledore. He was great. I don't understand his point in the movie.
I think he was the lamer version of them all. That's what it was to me.
His point's to introduce the writer.
Okay, but there are
super
other
lame.
ways to do that without having this character introduced for seemingly no reason.
Well, because he's... Sorry.
He is more of a concept than a full character. To be fair.
Yeah, but
that's how this whole movie felt. It felt like it was a bunch of really interesting, could be expounded upon concepts.
That's fair.
Thrown together, do a couple character sketches. Okay, here's our movie. Let's go.
That's fair.
That's what it feels like.
I like stand-ins for philosophical concepts conversing with each other and shooting with each other for 2 hours. That is what this movie is. That's fair.
Wait. And imagine that in Danish. Sorry. Foreshadowing.
And I think a lot of the point of English Bob was so that we get to know Little Bill. I think, because once they're in the jail, that's when we know who English Bill is and really know
Little
what...
Bill.
Whatever.
Should have written this down.
Everybody's doing it. Know what Little Bill... know what Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman and the kid are up against is Little Bill. So that's when we get to really, learn what he is capable of. And
there are other ways to do that, though.
I agree.
Better ways.
Name one. I mean, I'm just saying that I think...
No, they get Wild Bill... Gene Hackman's character sits around with his friends one night, they get drunk, start sharing bar stories, and keep one-upping each other until he finally says, oh, well, I got one for you. Here it goes.
Which is the basis of... because we know that structure works because that is essentially the USS Indianapolis scene. One of the best scenes in blockbuster history. It's awesome. It's that is an effective character concept. Jaws is good.
Jaws is good. When are we going to do that?
Sometime next 900 episodes.
Yeah.
Lee, do you have any more final thoughts? We apparently have quite a lot of thoughts about Unforgiven, so we gotta wrap it up soon.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
I want you to have as many thoughts as you want.
I'm good.
Alright, I think it's time for Henges. I'm gonna start off with a 4.7.
4.5.
4.7.
4.2.
4.5.
2.
Alright.
Alright, that is the film Unforgiven, directed by Clint Eastwood. Check it out. We'd love to hear your thoughts on really all of the characterization we talked about. But not now. Keep listening to the episode, because we gotta talk about an album now. But which album?
We listened to Vanishing Point by Primal Scream. This was their 5th album that came out in 1997, and it was kind of a comeback album. Their previous album that came out before this, Give Out But Don't Give Up, was not well received. It didn't perform very well, so they took a little bit of a break. They'd made this album, and they're like, you know what, we don't even know if we're going to come back and do an album after this. But then it was really good, and then they decided to do more albums. So that is a synopsis of Primal Scream real quick.
I'm enjoying this whole, Damnation Curse thing, because I never listened to experimental albums until this podcast, basically. And I liked this one. Like, what did you think?
This was such a fun album. It was... I didn't know what to expect going into it. Like, I kind of knew a little bit about Primal Scream, but not a whole lot. I didn't really recognize any of their more recognizable songs, so I was really interested in listening to more of them. And then I listened to the first half of the album today, and I was very confused about what the hell was going on. I recommend looking at the Wikipedia page. It goes in more depth about what this album is.
Well, it was funny because I turned it on, listened to it, and the first couple minutes are just, like, mechanical and unpleasant. And it's like the first 2 minutes of a 7-minute song. I'm like, okay, we're doing this today. And then, like, almost exactly the 2-minute mark, like, this cool beat starts. And
yeah.
This really, really cool beat. And I got immediately hooked in. And pretty much from there, I was completely in for it. Even during parts that I didn't necessarily love, which seemed to all be the lyrical parts. They sounded good. Lyrics were just kind of a bit too dumb, but they weren't meant to be perhaps the most poetic. But the sound was just so clever and cool.
The whole gist for this album was a concept album of sorts. They went into this, the kind of lead of the band went into this wanting to make an alternative soundtrack to a movie called Vanishing Point.
Okay, I'm glad there is a connection, because that is a famous movie, and it's awesome. It's longer than this album. So it's not like a whole, like commentary track, basically?
Well, this is like, if they wanted to make a soundtrack for this movie, and they described the the album concept as an syndicalist speed freak road movie record.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, like, yeah, and I think that it was, like, spot on. Even before reading the Wikipedia page and, like, doing my research on this album, I was like, this would be a great movie for, like, The Matrix, but a road trip movie.
And I have seen Vanishing Point. It's been a while, but it really is, it is a very 70s grindhouse chase through the desert. Guy saying, fuck the man, and the man trying to chase him. It's a very cool car movie, and it's sort of, I never even, like, thought about putting this album with it. I should have, it's the title. And it's, Yeah, that would fit the aesthetic, I think, really well.
Yeah, I have not seen the movie, but I think if they set out to make a crazy road trip soundtrack, and I think they succeeded, even without having necessarily a movie to pair with it.
Yeah, because I'm better at analyzing film than album, but this album does kind of match the idea of, like, you gotta drive for the sake of driving, and that kind of has the energy of this album. Anyone else?
No, I agree.
No.
No,
Probably ask that
sorry.
question off air to stop shaming you guys.
It's an interesting album. I recommend it. The song Kowalski, which was their single on the album, was directly referencing the movie Vanishing Point, because one of the characters in the movie is named Kowalski.
I imagine there has to be someone out there who's edited in this album into the movie.
Oh, I'm sure someone has.
There has to be a bootleg out there somewhere, right?
That'd be pretty awesome. I would watch that.
I'd definitely watch that. Do you have any final thoughts about this one? Did you like the lyrical parts as much? They're not as a large part of the album.
Some of them I thought were fine. When they had more processing done to the vocals, I enjoyed them. There were a couple songs towards the end, or one or two songs towards the end, where he just kind of sings without too much production to it. It's just kind of him, kind of lilting along, and it sounded so discordant against the rest of the music that I was just like, no, I'm not interested.
That's fair. And what would you give it henge-wise?
Henge-wise, I'll give this a 3.5. Definitely recommend it to people.
I'll give it a 4.2. It's a good one. And that is Vanishing Point by who?
Primal Scream.
Primal Scream. Check it out, and also check out that 70s Grindhouse car movie. That's part from the 70s, from the 60s. Please don't write in. Now time for the food segment.
Yeah, so the food segment today is San Francisco sourdough. So, I'm not currently in San Francisco. I'm in the Old Gods realm. All of my suppliers are from the Chicago area, who mysteriously are able to get me things here.
You know so many Chicago suppliers.
So many guys. But I brought sourdough from the local Jewel Osco, which is La Brea brand sourdough, because of many, I learned so much about sourdough today, guys. I read everything about sourdough. So sourdough is cool, and I'm gonna talk about science for a sec, because sourdough is cool. So all bread rises because there is wild bacteria in the bread, which when they...
Yeast.
Yeah, yeast. Which basically when they eat sugars in flour, basically, when exposed to the right conditions, produce gas, which makes the flour substance get bubbles in it and get bigger. That's bread. That's how bread works.
Well,
is yeast a bacteria or a fungus? I thought it was a fungus.
Yeast is a bacteria.
Really?
So
none of this is appealing to eat.
No, it's not. And trust me, sourdough is way worse. So now, in the modern era, the modern bread era, and in many other kinds of less sort of home style bread, we use a very refined strain of yeast. That is, well, now we use yeast that's not naturally occurring. We make our own yeast, basically. The keeping of sort of the goal of making a pure tasting bread is to use pure tasting yeast. Sourdough has in many ways sort of the opposite goal, which is to make your bread kind of funky by having lots of different strains of bacteria in it. So San Francisco sourdough is famous because the way you do this, for those who have never cooked sourdough, which I imagine is at least Austin, who's looking at me blankly, is with what's called sourdough.
Yeah, I'm the weirdo.
The mother.
Yeah, exactly. Sourdough starter. So rather than adding yeast to sourdough, the way you make it is you add a little bit of basically the last batch's dough, if you can think about it that way, which holds all of the bacterial goodness that you want into your next bread, which means you can pass sourdough down generations, specific strains of sourdough. So, many people believe, and this was very, very popular, among other things, in the Gold Rush era in California, because sourdough starter is easier to keep active and working in a, rough and tumble camping environment than pure yeast or baking soda is, which are the two other ways that you would leaven bread. So, sourdough starter, San Francisco, etc. Now, there's lots and lots of people who claim that the reason San Francisco sourdough is better is simply because it's got better bacteria in it. So basically, the bacteria native to San Francisco taste good, which is fascinating to me. Like, it's literally what is there physically in California that is what we now associate with the best kind of sourdough. But there's recently a competition. They did a bunch of breads from all over the place. One of them was the Brea, which actually won best sourdough in the country. So whether or not San Francisco sourdough is really that iconic is up for debate. The strain of bacteria that makes sourdough distinctly sour is called L. San Franciscanus. So it's named after San Francisco. Anyway, sourdough is real cool. It's really weird. Bread is weird. The first time I made bread, I was like, this is a weird science experiment in my kitchen, and I've clearly done it wrong. It's bubbling, and it makes noise, and it's weird, and then you bake it, and you're like, fuck, this is bread, and it's awesome. Anyway, what do people think of sourdough?
Love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I like it.
Now you've learned all of the wonderful
Our hinges.
bacteria.
No.
I have a fun sourdough fact.
Go!
Sure.
There is a woman who, I'm sure there's probably been multiples now, who has successfully made sourdough out of her own body yeast.
Okay, so I was
There's
not...
a yogurt.
I was not going to share
Made by
this
someone
particular
else.
fact, but
I
yes,
love this fact.
the
It
yeast
makes
that
me
makes
so happy.
sourdough tasty is a very major component of vaginal flora.
Hell yeah.
Where did you find the Jewel Osco in the Old Gods realm?
I got someone to ship this to me from Chicago.
Okay.
This is true of all sourdough, not this sourdough in particular.
Same thing with all yogurts.
Well, no, I mean,
Well, it's a different bacteria.
it's a different bacterium.
Same thing.
No, but it's a different bacterium. This bacterium is specifically the same bacteria.
Yeah.
I would not know whether the taste has any similarity. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, Mom. I like sourdough. It's delicious. I dislike about it that you cannot make all sandwiches with sourdough. As a single bread to buy, it bugs me because you can't put, jam on sourdough. You know? I don't like it on sourdough. I don't like it sweet things on sourdough. Which makes it sort of a single-purpose bread, but it's great for sandwiches.
I would imagine, I haven't tried it, only strawberry jam would be good on this. I don't know what that means, but I feel that's true.
Okay.
I would do that.
Yeah. I don't think grape would work.
I can't do it.
typically
I've
prefer
tried,
grape jelly, but I
and
think strawberry
I
would
can't.
fit well.
I can't do peanut butter on sourdough. I can't do anything sweet on sourdough. No. I can do mustard and meat, and cheese and beer and things. But I like sourdough. It's very interesting.
This is good. It's
Does anyone want the heel?
No, go for
the
it.
heel.
I'm gonna eat the heel.
I like it when a bread isn't distracting from itself. You sometimes get breads that just are filled with you get a wheat bread that's has too many seeds in it and whatnot. It's too much going on.
You like your straightforward bread. But I feel like sourdough's not totally straightforward.
I don't like white bread.
Oh, there you go.
So, like I said, I like a good casual flavor, and this is very tasty and never overwhelming.
There you go.
I think it's a very awesome bread.
Yeah.
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 It's like how you can have a bread that comes from a mother that's been around for over 100 years. There are a lot of restaurants that
Sometimes a literal mother.
Yeah, that's what they call it, the mother batch. And they take a piece of it, throw it in.
I have always heard it referred to as a starter, but
Really?
I understand that it is sometimes referred to as the mother.
You can keep it alive in your kitchen. You just gotta feed it sugar every once in a while.
Yeah, it's real weird. You feed sourdough starter as if it is an organism. I mean, it is. It is a collection of organisms.
It's basically
that live in
a
your
pet
kitchen.
you leave in the kitchen. Yeah,
But you
some
keep
of
it.
it,
You have to
yeah.
keep it warm, like above about 80 degrees for it to work. And yeah, you feed it water and sugar and flour.
But even if it doesn't get like too cold, it'll still like live.
yeah,
It'll just kind of hang out.
it goes dormant, and then you have to wake it up.
Yep.
What if in Alien, when they were talking to the computer and they called it Mother, they were just talking to sourdough bread?
That would be strange. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. We'll go ahead and call that one.
It makes as much sense as reviewing bread.
Adam's tearing up a screenplay right now.
Oh man.
They ran out of food.
So what do we think? Can we henge sourdough?
Henge it.
Can we?
I think we can.
What are we doing?
I'm gonna give sourdough like a solid 4.1.
4.5. I don't know.
4.8. I love bread. I love sourdough.
What about San Francisco?
Never been.
There you go.
What about the old Hollywood film called San Francisco?
Don't think I've seen it.
I have. It's not very good.
Okay.
How do you henge sourdough bread?
3.8.
Alright.
I've had better breads, I've had worse breads. I've had similar breads.
That is such unforgiven dialogue right there.
The best breads are...
I'm never going back to bread again.
I'm not that kind of bread. Alright, now it's time
You
for
read
this
me
song.
wrong.
Pedro, describe your head.
I don't have a devil's haircut. Yeah, I do. Well, no, I don't.
I
don't
bet
know.
you do.
Yes. That was good.
Did you hear that?
I did.
Validate me, please.
It was great.
Thank you.
I really
Yes.
hope someone's editing this and takes it out.
Nope.
No, don't take it out. Part of my segment.
What's the song?
The song is Devil's Haircut by Beck.
Something's wrong, cause my mind is fading. And everywhere I look, there's a dead end waiting. Temperatures dropping at the rotten oasis, stealing kisses from the leprous faces. Heads are hanging from the garbage man trees. Mouthwash, jukebox, gasoline. Pistols are pointing at a poor man's pockets. Smiling eyes ripping out of his sockets.
Devil's Haircut by Beck is a song that came out in 1996 as part of, I think, Odella album? Something like that. One of those. It's fun, I guess. It's got a nice, repetitive beat. Bassline is cool, as Sarah pointed out earlier. It's funky. It's repetitive, and it can get boring real fast, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, I really
What?
like the beat.
It's cool. It's fine. It's solid, but
But I mean, you did listen to it on repeat for like 5 hours. I feel like that's not how you're supposed to consume a song.
It's a 2.5-minute song.
I thought it was like 3 and a bit.
It's like 3.
Wikipedia says 3:14 seconds, 3.14 pi. Math.
Pedro, have you gone crazy from listening to this song too much?
I may have gone crazy.
No, that's been arcing the whole story.
Alright.
I watched the music video. That was boring.
I admit, Doc music video. You're right.
Yeah, there was nothing there at all.
I think the song's really good. Music video, not that impressive.
Nope, not at all. It's the first thing that comes up on the Wikipedia page for the song. Not
Is it a
sure
famous
why.
music video?
Is it?
Not
I
that I
don't
know
know.
of.
It's your segment.
It just says what it is.
Sarah gave the history of bread in her
I gave like
segment.
the whole history of bread as the way we eat as a species.
The song won 5 awards at the MTV Music Video Awards.
Wait, it won 5 different awards at a music video award?
MTV Video Music Awards. Beck won a total of 5 awards.
Beck won 5
Beck.
awards.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
That makes more
this,
sense.
It won
This won
music
Best
video.
Editing and Best Male Video. What?
I know, how can videos be gendered?
No. How did this video win something?
I like the song a lot.
No, Pedro won't blink. I don't have an answer for you. Please stop staring at
You
me.
know the visual medium better than I.
Jesus, I don't know MTV's logic.
Yeah.
That said, I watched a lot of The Real World. I watched a lot of The Real World,
Adam, what
guys.
did you think of this song?
Oh, Jesus Christ, guys.
I like it. I like Beck a lot. I think they do a lot of really interesting things. I saw them perform on
Is
Saturday
Beck a
Night Live
they?
once.
I've always wondered. I always want
Beck
Beck
is
to...
a he.
Beck is
But
is
the-
a
thought
he?
Beck was a
He has a
Band that is also called Beck?
I think they fall under Beck, and I
Yeah.
think it's a pretty stable amount of people behind it.
I just, when you said they, I was like, that would sound right. And I was like, wait, I'm pretty
I
sure
just
Beck's
didn't
a
want to
person.
assume gender.
Beck is a he.
Beck is a he.
I like him. Beck.
Alright.
He performed on Saturday Night Live sometime a while ago, with, like, puppets, I think. And I think that's when I fell in love with Beck.
With the puppets?
Nope. Beck himself.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But yeah, he has a very distinct sound that really comes through in this song.
Yeah.
Um,
And I've heard a little bit of Beck, and this feels like the Beckiest of all Beck songs. Like it's that
It's
sound,
pretty Becky.
and it's kind of great because I like that sound a lot. So I enjoy listening to this a couple times, not 5 hours in a row.
Yeah.
But I heard a few times that really charming, even though nothing about the actual like lyrics presentation seems like by themselves incredible. Together, just
They're
it really
not.
works into a charming song. I found it to be really likable.
It's fine, but like, I know for a fact I've heard other Beck songs. I don't know what they are or what they're called, but I know I've liked them better than this one.
That
Loser.
is really... so, I feel like, Loser is the prototypical Beck song that is not like a Beck
No,
song.
Lee
I
was
feel
just
like.
insulting Pedro.
I mean, that too. But like, Loser is like... We're not reviewing Loser, but I just think the story about Loser is really funny, which is that Loser is literally like a joke riff that Beck did at like when he was like fiddling around at a concert, and like people loved it, and he was like, "This is a dumb bit I was doing," and then it became like a hit song. I feel like this is much more like mainstream Beck. It has a great bass line and a great repetitive like drum line, and it's not boring. It's just consistent and cool. That's all I've got. I didn't have enough time to really look at the lyrics.
Lyrics are
I've not known Beck lyrics to be particularly impressive, but I
I
haven't
don't
read
know.
them. But yeah, it's a good song.
a little crazy. Basically, bad things everywhere. Devil's
Sure.
haircut. Yep.
I like the song. I agree with Pedro. It was a little repetitive, but because the song is so short, I think it's fine.
I never get excited about this song past a certain like head bobbing stage.
No,
I can't get too
I'm right there with you.
enthusiastic about it. Whereas there are other Beck songs that I have been more enthusiastic about it. So it's perfectly fine, but to me, it's missing some sort of just something to make it pop.
a zhuzh.
Yeah, je ne sais quoi.
I prefer zhuzh.
A juge. I don't even know what that is.
It's
a
so
je ne sais
clear
quoi.
eye.
Sure.
Is Adam teaching Pedro French?
I don't know what's happening. I think we should end this song.
It's a phrase that came from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
I used to watch a lot of that.
I
though.
also was just about to say I used to watch a ton of that show.
I've never seen it.
You
One
you
of
gotta
the-
zhuzh it.
I wonder if it's on the list. It probably is.
I think it probably is.
Yeah.
I think the food guy went to our high school.
Really?
I heard that.
Tim
Yeah.
Allen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, his name's Tim Allen?
No, it's not. What's his name?
Ted.
He's Ted Allen.
I
That's
think.
that's very different.
Yes, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, they are 3-letter names that start with T. Same last name.
Well, one just finished a 5-season conservative sitcom.
3.7 henges.
4.2.
3.5. I like the song, but I don't... 3.7 is high for me, so...
Fair enough.
3.6.
3.
Cool.
All right.
Alright, that is Devil's Haircut by Beck.
Mm.
Now it's time for the children's book segment. Adam, what did we read this week?
The K by Theodore Taylor. So Sarah prepared a whole history of bread. I'm going to prepare a whole history of racism.
Great.
Yay!
Back in 1300.
Oh, they said Beck.
No.
I also thought that. I was like, damn, you're gonna start with
Wow.
Beck.
I'm
That's
gonna
like,
start
I
with
didn't
Beck.
know anything about that.
At first there was peace, and then there was Beck. Now there's racism. Here's the K.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. That's crazy. The K was published in 1969, and it's about a boy in the Caribbean islands during World War II, and his mother wants to move them back to Virginia. So she goes with him on a boat, and the islands had been having some shellings and boats sinking, and wouldn't you know, the boat that they're on gets hit, and the main character, what's his name?
Oh my god.
This is a children's book, man.
Philip.
Sure.
It's Philip.
It's first-person perspective. He doesn't say his name enough.
I know. Timothy says his name a lot, though.
Well, Timothy's name is said a lot, so I know him. Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, so their ship gets hit. He ends up on a boat. Philip is this young white boy, and he ends up on a boat with an old black man named Timothy. And eventually Philip goes blind, and they end up on this small island and have to, like, survive. And shit gets real from there. And the thematic point of it is that Philip is racist, and his mom, well, I mean, that's like a harsh general term. Well, he just doesn't have a lot of experience with black people.
I mean, it's undeniable in the spectrum of racism. It's just, it's very prejudiced in a very, like, matter-of-fact way, not a hatred way.
Yes.
So he's fair. Not like yelling horrible things at Timothy. He is just always discounting him until he kind of recognizes his own errors.
Yeah.
And I never read this book. I realized I had seen this cover when my latest iteration in junior high. Like, it was always there. It's like, a book to read. I just never did for any reason. Because I got Gary Paulsoned out. You read 2 survival books. You're like, okay, let's have a break now.
Yeah.
But this book, it was really brilliant. I read it so quickly. I couldn't stop. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't even know it was going to be set on an island. Mm-hmm. So when you have these people in the Caribbean, and the writing is so sharp because he's friends with this. He's Danish, right? The Henry character.
Henry.
The friend he has for a couple chapters.
Oh yes, yes, Danish. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe, but there's like the
Philip is American,
right?
Yeah,
because the prose is so good because you have when something horrible happens, the author is so smart to keep those sentences to as few words as possible, and they just kind of stick with you longer. Like I remember early on when they're like playing the playground, but they like accidentally touch upon a sore subject. Then like the next line is just, it's kind of hard to bring that up because his country was invaded by Nazis.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that would upset him. And you have these elements of like when he discovers he's blind, or when they're stuck on an island and like time goes by, and especially the most devastating thing that happens 2/3 of the way through, it's done as such a cold element. Not cold. It's cold as self-preservation for the main character,
mm-hmm.
and it's so good. I mean, the way, because he goes blind early in the book, and then you kind of read the book, and it took me a while to realize that like it's first-person perspective, but the prose is so good. I didn't recognize that all the descriptions are not visual.
Yeah,
like it's so well done. Where like it truly reads like any kind of book of a narrator. Except you didn't realize that it's all done through sounds and smells and the temperature.
I read this book as a kid, and I remember the, like, sort of reveal. It's very cool. It's a very cool book.
Yeah.
I like it. But I don't remember it well enough to henge it, but I liked it a lot.
The reveal of when you find out he's blind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it was definitely being read to me in 5th grade class, and I think it happens at the end of a chapter. And if not, it didn't matter. Like, we all were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, freaked out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, now they have to survive on an island.
Yeah.
An old... It's like 70, right?
Yeah, he's old.
Timothy?
Oh, yeah.
And this kid's, like, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Who's blind. And it's a pretty bare island.
Yeah. And Timothy... Timothy is, like a... I don't know the word. Like a shipsman. So he goes out
sailor?
a lot. No.
Seaman?
Not really a sailor. Yeah, seaman. I like shipsmen.
Seaman.
I'm
helping.
You've already done your yeast segment. You stay over there.
So he goes out into the ocean a lot, and I think he got shipwrecked another time, and so he has like a lot of survival skills that help them to survive. So yeah, I agree with everything that you said, Austin. It's really excellent prose. It's not compared to a lot of the other children's books that we've read. It's
you mean like the other one of someone on an island where Nazis invade? You know, the one with the Pony Club?
The Pony Club.
What the hell's that book called?
We couldn't leave Dina.
We just couldn't do it.
We couldn't leave Dina.
The book was bullshit.
Yeah. I liked it. Although it's now my second favorite island
Nazi story.
Good. So yeah, and I think the issue of racism is handled fairly well. And I had read this many years ago as well, and I don't remember, as I was reading it now, I didn't remember the transition of him from being prejudiced to not being prejudiced. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be some kind of big dramatic reveal or something.
It's really not.
It's so slow, and it's not even really an event. It just kind of happens.
But it's so good because their days are so similar on the island that the book doesn't make note of passage of time. It just kind of sneaks up on you. Like they count time by putting a new rock in a bucket every day.
Yeah.
So it's not until like he almost checks in the bucket and realizes there's 20 rocks in there. You go,
I think it's like the first we hear about them doing this is like 6 weeks on the island.
Yeah, it's so devastating. We kind of recognize like their day consists of get up, hope to find fish, hope to find this, do what you can, try to understand where you are because you're blind. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good book. And there is a prequel book that I'm really curious about, but like all great books, I'm worried a second one will ruin it. Not ruin the original one, but like won't be as good.
Right. Well, because he obviously won't be able to have his moment of realization of not. It's going to have to be something different.
Well, he's not in it. Probably it's Timothy pre the K.
Oh, it's Timothy, not Philip at all.
No.
Oh. Who cares?
No, it's not just racist Philip for age 10. No, it's kind of what Timothy had done before this book.
That could be interesting.
Like many years before, not like a week before.
Right. It just sounds like an adventure book, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
based on the backstory that we get in the K.
Yeah. But I thought this was really damn good.
Yeah.
I should have read this as a kid. Just like Julia the Wolves. Like, what was I thinking? I saw this cover all the time. I should have picked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is great reading for children so that it can spark a conversation about, like, trying to identify your prejudices.
Well, also it's being, like, I don't know, just damned exciting. Like, it's so weird it's exciting because it's also so boring because it's not they're fighting tigers every day. You know, it's day-to-day survival in a very real way. Mm-hmm. And the ending's great.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. It's a little sad.
It is.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 4.6.
I'll do a 4.8. That is the K by what, Taylor?
Theodore
Taylor. I knew it wasn't Timothy.
I wished I'd gotten a chance to read this, but I'm really glad that it is as good as I remember it being, because I remember really liking this book as a kid, and it's one of those ones I'm like, as soon as it was on the list, I was like, damn, like that book. Yeah.
Holds up.
Cool.
And now it's time for the segment that you all better not fast forward through.
I really do.
I'm going to talk about Borgen.
Leblon ringede i går aftes.
Hvad kan vi få?
Det kommer an på, hvem vi sender derned. Jeg har en liste over kandidater. De moderate ønsker selvfølgelig, det bliver en fra partiet. Jeg skal have møde med folketingsgruppen her om en halv time.
Men vi ønsker vel at få en kommissærpost med så meget indflydelse som muligt, ikke?
Jo, selvfølgelig.
Hvad mindre man bruger posten til at slippe af med nogen. Ja, altså teoretisk set kan man jo sende nogen til Bruxelles, som man gerne vil af med. Så det ligner en forfremmelse.
Du foreslår, at vi skal bruge en af de mest magtfulde politiske stillinger i Europa til at sende en uønsket person i eksil?
Absolut ikke. Nej, det ville have været meget uhensigtsmæssigt, hvis det skulle komme dertil. Pedro vil gerne ringe op kl. 14. Passer det der?
Fint, tak.
Han er sgu da for viderekommende. Hvad er den mands dagsorden?
Den er hans egen, det kan du være helt sikker på. Men han har jo sådan set ret. Der er en del danske politikere, der er blevet sendt til Bruxelles, som man aldrig hører om siden.
I Bruxelles kan ingen høre dig skrige.
Borgen is the greatest political show I've ever seen. Now I'm going to say that it's about Danish politics. So focus on that first sentence.
And this is where we fast forward.
Yeah, damn it.
No. I'm sure it's great.
No, I'm not kidding. This is a Danish show that ran from, I believe, 2010 to 2013. It's a 3-season show. It is... So I'm going to now spoil the pilot only. Because I watched the pilot, I know what it was about. And it has so many twists and turns in the pilot. And it never foreshadows where it's going. That's super exciting. But this is the basic...
Exciting, impossible to follow, take your pick.
No, I thought actually, it's challenging because I've now lived so much of my recent life in a two-party system of government that it was kind of hard to fully follow the nuances of a multiple-party election, which is what happens in the pilot. But it is, you have a Danish election, you have a prime minister seeking re-election, and he's from the Liberal Party. And you have the main competitor, which is from the Labour Party, which would be the equivalent of, like, moderate Republican versus super right-wing info news Republican. 2010. This is a very prescient show. And basically because of a couple of really reasonable political errors, the two forerunners to have the main party be in control of the government, they fuck up on a big way. And an unexpected party of the moderate, which is the moderate liberals, basically, take control of the government. And now they have the first female prime minister.
Austin, I think you messed up.
What?
This sounds like France. I think you just watched French news clips.
I mean, it was on in the background at the library, but I didn't turn over to
the languages sound very similar.
They do, but this TV had subtitles on, so I kept watching this one.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that one. So what happens next is you're watching this woman who was always, she's been a very good career politician. She's been a party leader. But she's been a party leader of a party that has never been close to power. And it is now her, as the first female prime minister, navigating this world and pushing a new progressive agenda towards Denmark in such an intelligent way, because once the chessboard is set, you now have all of these different factions, which is primarily the moderate party, as you're watching her in charge. You have the main opposition, and you have the media. And every one of these characters is so smart and so articulate with their point of view that when they push certain agendas, you're watching the best episodes of The West Wing play out, and honestly, better than The West Wing, because you're seeing a much sharper back and forth.
Fighting words.
I like The West Wing a lot. I'm shocked about how good this is, because one of my favorite episodes is in the first season when something that she kind of had a campaign on, and now she has the opportunity to do it, which is she wants to create a law in Denmark that all executives of all businesses need to have 50% women on the board. And this seems like what an awesome world that would be in that could happen. And the way the pushback happens is so realistic and so brilliant. Well, also just like it tells such a genius, thrilling political story, while also having these incredible themes about women in the workplace, as you have, because most of the main characters are women. The main news person you watch is this woman journalist who, she suffers a tragedy in the first episode, which is a really good story, but you kind of forget how, they don't have time to show you how brilliant a reporter she is. So as the season goes on, you kind of recognize how genius she is. And it plays out, and it scene to scene kept surprising me in a way that reminded me of Breaking Bad, except for it's none of the themes or tone of Breaking Bad at all. It is just like the way Breaking Bad would devise a way of like, these two guys are stuck in the RV. How do they get out? And that is the smartest way you could ever write them getting out. That is Borgen for politics. And you watch this, and every story is like, every episode is like individual with its agenda, but it's a bigger, longer story, much like how Mad Men did its episodes. And yet the whole thing feels like a even richer Good Wife. Like, it really is, of all the wonders of prestige TV in the past 10 years, this really is highly ranked above it. And I ate this show up. I sadly have 5 more episodes to go. I couldn't get it done before today's podcast. The third season is a bit more experimental, which is a very bold decision they made, to the point where I was so shocked by the premiere, I had to watch it twice to make sure that actually did happen. And it did, because it's taped, it's recorded, it's art, it's out there. But it is. I am very excited to see how it ends, because everything they set up to be the final season was blown up in a way that I never expected. So now I don't know what the ending is, and they could have gone for a very easy political story ending. And it's a what if witch fulfillment with the smartest way possible. And only one character is ever perceived as a all-out like Slytherin villain, but he only represents himself, not the entire party, which is even more interesting. So yeah, holy shit, Borgen. Pedro, you saw 2 episodes.
I did see 2 episodes.
So that's enough to hinge it. What do you think of the first 2 episodes?
So, basically everything you said. This show is like House of Cards, except the show doesn't have to tell you. Actually, no, it chooses not to tell you when key political points, maneuvers are being made, and or if they were, and if they went through well or not. It doesn't. You see news happen, you see someone come up with something, you see a reaction, you see whatever, tactics, chess pieces, and then you don't have Kevin Spacey just turn around and face the camera and be like, this happened. Which was awesome, because sometimes there were bits that you missed, and then were brought in later, and like the full consequences of seemingly trivial details ended up coming about full force, and really having an effect. And other times you're like, bad move. I figured that out. I don't need Kevin Spacey. I'm ripping on Kevin Spacey. That's actually part of my favorite part of House of Cards is the fact that he talks to
House of Cards is a show I don't really like, but why I don't like it is that it's super dumbed down politics.
Yeah, this is not.
No.
You need to pay attention the whole way through. You need to follow, especially if you're not familiar with multi-party systems. Even like
I think it's easier for pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they have to choose, the fact that the majority winning party of votes doesn't appoint the prime minister, they appoint their head, who then has to go and assemble a government and pitch it to the queen, and the queen can say yay or nay.
Well, I think the queen will never say nay. But
it's one of those, yeah.
But the moments where I kept getting jealous of the multi-party system. Most I wasn't jealous, but the idea that you would have almost always a prime minister who is the majority party of all the ministers who are in power, but your cabinet is not 100% composed of your party.
It can't be.
So, yeah, so you have a pie graph. So, and that's kind of actually a brilliant system, because the way we kind of do all Republicans or all Democrats is an agenda, will lead the other party to get pissed.
But that's not actually how we do our own politics, because if you think of the House is more like this. Yeah, okay, someone identifies as Republican or a Democrat, and then they eventually end up going off of party lines, whatever. But the people themselves are somewhat fiercely loyal to their constituency, as they have to be as congressmen, because you got 2 years to basically prove that you're worth the job and you can keep going. Having a bunch of smaller parties, they have the exact same thing, except it's not an actual zone on the map that is their constituency. It's a group of people that feel a certain way. And they have to be just as fiercely loyal to those people and somehow make government function. But because it is overarching across the entire country and over all the public, the entire government has to function in this way, which is really interesting. and eventually you kind of gotta, sort shit out, because nothing's gonna get done otherwise.
The fact that you have your cabinet and the Minister of Finance is from a different party than you is amazing, because you're now people essentially having great philosophical debates. There's always power struggles, as seen throughout the entire series, but you having people, you essentially get the great, the government is going to serve the interest of all in that kind of way. So it's so cool to see.
As best it can.
As best they can. I mean, they always try the best, but even another recent episode that I saw, which dealt with the legality of prostitution. You actually saw them kind of going up against a more liberal thought process about that, and kind of looking at it from different angles in a way that they're so true to their political stance, which is based upon their morals, which is also going into their power play for government. All those are in factor for every single episode, and it's so important. There's never been a show where the home life is so necessary, because typically that's the shitty part. People hate the kids in Homeland because they're awful, and people are wrong about not liking the home life of Mad Men or Breaking Bad. This is so similar to that, because everyone's home life or personal life is a reflection on how they want the government and their world to be. This is what you're fighting for. So when you see personal life start to crumble, is typically when people are becoming too power hungry, losing track. And it's such an impossible balance where every episode is thrilling, and crazy ass twists happen in this show, and it's powerful stuff. But I shouldn't talk too long, because I have to be so vague, because no one's seen this Danish show.
Yeah, and I want to see it. For everything you said, it's amazing.
Yeah.
What does Borgen mean?
It means the castle. It's kind of the nickname of the parliament.
So it'd be like naming something like 10 Downing Street, or...
Well, that's the actual address, but yeah,
but
it's similar. Yeah,
or the White House.
This is...
Or the Capitol,
Capitol Hill is a similar thing for that. The show's awesome. And so I'm only going to give it a 4.9, because this final season is still experimental, and there are a few elements that I didn't like, and then it paid off so well a few episodes later. This could still fuck up the ending. I say fuck, I mean be a B+ to me. I will wait till I finish the last 5 episodes to possibly raise it higher, but damn, Borgen. Pedro, you've seen 2?
I've seen 2. That's perfectly plenty enough to henge. Okay, giant caveat. I've only seen 2 episodes, but from what I've gathered and what they're trying to make of a show, and what they hopefully have on hands in their entirety, this is wonderful, and gets at least a 4.7. So for now, 4.7.
Alright, that is the TV show Borgen. It is unfortunately unavailable to stream anywhere, but DVDs aren't that expensive. Trust me. They even ship to the old God's realm. That's how good Amazon is.
How the hell do you figure out Mr. doesn't have a computer and only uses books? And
Sarah, let me borrow her phone.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You just talked about Danish things forever.
It was great.
I mean, we've been going kind of easy on him, right?
I've been lying on the ground with no legs. Give me this Danish
is
show.
fair. This is fair.
Why didn't you take the chair this time?
There's been a chair?
I've got to it first, the past 3 weeks in a row.
Oh my god.
Whatever. Alright, that's episode 77. We reviewed a bunch of random things. And now we gotta, do another thing. Pedro, give me a number.
Oh, I don't know. I like 491.
Alright, we're gonna do 491 next week.
Sweet. Cool.
Everyone look that up. Let me get my big old book here.
The food's dried abalone.
That was fast.
Yeah, because I looked up on my phone like a human.
The album is Mask by Bauhaus. I'm really excited to hear your opinion about that, Austin.
I will find out. The movie is A Touch of Zen, which I'm looking forward to, and by the way, is on Filmstruck for those who haven't seen it, like me.
The children's book is Comet in Moominland by Tove Jansson.
Moomins?
What?
I love Moomins!
Not sure if it's the
I
same.
don't... What is that?
Moomins, they're the characters in the book.
Okay.
They're really cute.
Oh, never
They
mind.
look like
I don't know what this is.
really fat hippos.
Cool.
Okay.
The song is Alternative Ulster, I think, by Stiff Little Fingers.
And the TV show is the one-season Margaret Cho sitcom All-American Girl from ABC in the 90s. All right, until then, you can leave a comment on theartimmortal.com where you can let us know what you think of Unforgiven and all the characters within it. Also, do you have more to add to the history of bread? Let us know. Or don't. Or do. Or don't. While you're there, you can also check out other podcasts, including Let's Take 5, where, yesterday we had our superhero wrap-up, where we had on 2 guests, Alex Dunny and David Jesse, where we had an extra long episode talking about all sorts of cinema with superheroes. And also we have our new 5 starting tomorrow. We're going to talk about Jodie Foster for 5 weeks. So tomorrow's episode is about Taxi Driver. That's good stuff. And also, last week we talked about Logan. Logan is super influenced by Unforgiven. So
yeah, as soon as you said that in the middle of Unforgiven, I was like, yes, that makes sense.
Super thing. Also, we have on there Ad Absurdum, which is having a month off, but a bonus episode probably coming soon.
Yep.
But Sarah, you are on another podcast.
I got invited to be on my friend Pranks Paul's podcast. I recognize the listening audience of this podcast may not be the same as the listening audience for Adventure, my friend Pranks Paul's brand new podcast, but if you want to listen to me play Misty in a fanfic version of Pokemon, you should. Adventure is a podcast where we basically create fanfic of some of our favorite genres.
Well, through role-playing
games.
Yeah.
It's kind of a complicated concept. It should be really great. Y'all should give it a listen.
You're playing a character in a complicated concept for a podcast?
Yeah.
What?
That seems weird.
Well, this is my real life, so I don't know what you're referring to.
I was referring to Ad Absurdum.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Pranks Paul was also a guest on that.
That's true.
On the Batman episode. TheImmortals@artimmortal.com, at TheImmortalsPod on Twitter. And as we close out, I feel I should just say real fast why I think we've hung out in the library all week, which is, how we have all of our reviews?
Mm-hmm.
You know how our reviews somehow power the Old Gods realm?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know how when you guys penned that 80s episode, the intern took those tapes?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he brought them all to this library.
Hey, that actually makes some sense, because it's a big library.
That's right. And, so if those are power, I think we should blow them all up.
Yeah!
But
what
we're doing now is digital.
Sorry, that just seems like a very lost thing to do.
Damn straight it is. Alright, that's it for this week.
Cool.
My name is Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
We'll catch y'all next time. We're gonna blow some shit up. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll bring the dynamite.
Hell yeah.